Now, I'd like to request Professor Vandita to please introduce the guest speaker. Thank you.
Before we introduce the guest speaker, I'll just take you through the guidelines of the FDP once again. I hope this is visible to everyone. Your camera mic has to be kept on mute mode during the entire session. You may use the chat box to post questions. Alternatively, you can use the reaction button to raise your hand. The moderator shall then unmute you so that you may ask your question. PPTs and learning resources can be shared subject to resource person's consent only. There are going to be 2 attendance assessment forms that you need to fill up every day. Ensure you are entering the correct participant code that has been assigned to you. And these sheets shall be accepting responses till 5:30 p.m. only. E-certificates will be generated to registered candidates only based on submission of all the 10 attendance assessment forms on all 5 days and 1 feedback form on the last day of the event. In case of any technical issues, you are requested to kindly bear with the same. We shall try the best from our end for a smooth sailing of the entire event. All the queries pertaining to the FDP, including certificates, are to be sent officially to AITTFDP2021@gmail.com only. And lastly, it is important to stick to appropriate and polite behavior while interacting with resource persons, organizers, and other fellow participants. Anyone found creating any disruption during the sessions shall be disqualified and immediately removed. Please cooperate with us to facilitate a safe and fruitful learning experience for all. Dr. Gina Alcoriza, could you please could you please unmute yourself? I hope I'm audible to you.
Hi, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Could you please switch on the camera?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, participants.
Before we begin, today I'll just like to say that we are extremely honored and privileged to welcome among us Dr. Gina B. Alcoriza. Dr. Alcoriza is an associate professor and chairperson of tourism management in the University of Santo Tomas, Legazpi City, Philippines. University of Santo Tomas, Legazpi, Philippines. Her areas of research interest include community-based tourism, event management, Malaysia, Journal on Intelligent Systems India, Management Theory and Studies for Rural Business and Infrastructure Development, e-Journal Lithuania, Europe, and an editorial board member of Journal of Tourism and Hospitality Education, Nepal, BS Tourism Management at the Polytechnic University of Philippines, Santa Mesa, Manila. She is a membership ambassador of Philippine Association of Research and Regional Quality Assurance Team of Commission on Higher Education, Bicol Region, Philippines. She has also held the chair of President of Council of Deans and Program Chair for the Bicol Region of Philippines, a board member of Union of Philippines, and a tourism consultant of local government units and private entities. Dr. Alcoriza has been invited as a speaker in several programs in the Philippines, India, Brazil, Thailand, Malaysia on research, tourism, hospitality, and business topics. We welcome you, ma'am, and you may kindly proceed with your session.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind introduction. It's magandang hapon coming from the Philippines. And mabuhay. Good afternoon, participants. I hope you are doing well there in your respective country or maybe state in your own country, India. I would like to share my presentation here for us to start the session for today. Okay, ma'am. Is my presentation visible to your screen already?
Yes, it is visible.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. But before I start with the presentation, I would like first to thank Professor Vandita Hajra. Am I correct, ma'am? The program leader of the Institute of Travel and Tourism of Amity University, Calcutta, India, for inviting me here to participate as your lecturer for this afternoon session in your 5 days international FDP on academic research in tourism and travel and tourism with regards to the recent trends and future directions as organized by your respective university. So for this afternoon, please allow me to share with you the qualitative research in the tourism perspective. So I hope every one of you is actually interested to know about qualitative research, which is very much for me, it's really interesting because I am actually a researcher in the field of tourism also, like you. Okay, so for this afternoon, our objectives are actually to know, okay, and to discuss all about the relationship of tourism and research, and then to give you a little window about research process because I know you are faculty members, you are research scholars already. I know you are. I know you are very much acquainted already of the research process. Ma'am Vandita, I'm
Uh,
still,
yes, ma'am.
is my screen still visible?
Yes, ma'am, your screen
Okay,
is
okay.
visible. If you could just, put it into the slideshow mode.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. So I say next, the last one is actually a last of our objectives. Is of course, the qualitative research methods in applied to tourism. So my dear students, my dear faculty members, my dear colleagues, I would like to check in. Okay. I would like to check how do you feel right now in attending the second day of your webinar? You can actually share with us no, using your using the chat box. Okay. How do you feel right now? Actually, we are using check-in. Okay. Check-in as used in hospitality. So for now, I would like to use this no, in checking your disposition or checking your idea or checking your feelings right now while we are starting our session. Okay, anybody can actually share how do you feel right now in your second day of your research webinar or research training in your university? Okay.
Participants, you may please use the chat box to
Yeah.
write. I think they're already replying, ma'am. Can you see the chat box?
No, ma'am. I can I can't actually
So,
see the chat box.
can I just read the responses for you?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Okay. So, someone is writing informative session. Another
Okay.
response is good. Someone has written, I'm fortunate enough to be a part of this program.
Thank
And
you.
then someone has written, I'm mentally prepared and ready to learn new concepts in research. The next response is, I am curious.
Okay.
And the
Thank you
last,
so much. Yes, ma'am.
yeah, and the last response is very excited, very exciting, amazing session. It's an honor.
Wow, thank you so much. And I am very much happy to hear something really interesting and amazing coming from you, my dear colleagues there in India. Okay, so shall we start now? Okay, so when we have to read the word research or hear something about research, how do you feel? Okay, so maybe some of you um, um, think about that it won't work out, or maybe it could be a fear of failure. So because most of the faculty members, or of course the students, are really afraid of doing research. So they are just doing it just to comply the requirements of the university. So the enthusiasms are actually not very well present in the process of research. So those are the things that really feel of the students now engaging in research writing. So I hope uh, from the responses from the participants who participated at the chat box. So I think some of you are very much excited to know something about qualitative research in the other perspective, or something about tourism as a research topic. Okay, so just to give you this, do you believe on this quote that the secret of getting ahead is to get started? The secret of getting ahead is getting started. So, okay, my dear students, my dear faculty members, my dear colleagues, okay, so we are very much motivated to do something that is very fruitful in the near future. So we are actually interested, or we are motivated to have more fruits, more fruit-bearing trees in our homes, or for us as educators, for us to have to be more productive. Okay, so for us to have a productive research endeavor, or for have a fruitful um, academic endeavor, we have to start, no, planting seeds. Okay.
Ma'am,
Um,
just interrupting you a bit.
yes, ma'am.
Actually, the slides are not moving. We are still on
Oh,
the
okay.
how do you feel right now attending this
Oh my
webinar?
God. I'm sorry, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. So this is actually something, ma'am, that is challenging in Google Meet and MS Team. So I don't know if I'm presenting in MS Team or in Google Meet. This is actually the problem that I really encountered. But for Zoom, it's quite different. But anyway, that's why in the beginning, ma'am, I didn't present the the PowerPoint presentation because of such problem. So anyway, so I am talking about the secret of getting ahead is getting started. So you have to start now, not tomorrow, not the next year, but today. So you have for us to have this fruitful research endeavor, we have to plant seeds and let it grow to a more fruitful tree in the future. So like research, we have to start with coming up with a topic, and then we have to gather more related literature for us to have a lot of knowledge about that particular topic, and later we can actually organize our conceptual framework and go with our objectives, and go through the methodology, later data gathering, and then everything about finishing the research endeavor. Okay. So remember, my dear colleagues, just to remind you that the beautiful view comes after the hardest climb. Okay. It's good for us to sacrifice. It's good for us to um, experience hardship in climbing the the summit or the top of the mountain or the rockish mountain, because the beautiful view awaits us at that particular point. So what I'm trying to say is we need to allow us these sacrifices come into our life in making our research. So because at the end of the day, we'll be having a very good or a very a publishable research that could be used by the community in the future. Okay, so going through the mainstream of our research of our session's topic, so we're talking about qualitative research in the tourism perspective. So just to give everyone an idea about tourism, there is the relationship of tourism and research. I want you to remember, okay, some of many of you actually are engaged in tourism also. Um, Same with Ma'am Vandita. Okay, so tourism actually is characterized as people-oriented, service-oriented. Okay, we are dealing with intangible products and services. It should be seasonal. It's labor-intensive. Tourism is really dynamic. Okay, and it's really complex and multidimensional phenomenon. So those are the characteristics of tourism. So when we can actually think about tourism, okay, it's really uh, interesting, okay, to have such venue of research, of knowing something about the details, the sectors, everything about tourism, because it's really interesting topic. Okay, so when we say research, it should be empirical, and this should be systematic, and it should be controlled and employs hypothesis. Okay, so in making tourism research, we can actually choose qualitative or quantitative research method. But today, we'll be having a discussion about qualitative research. Okay. So why tourism research, my dear colleagues? Okay. So in tourism, we need to understand the industry. So we need to research, to conduct research in order for us to understand our industry, the small, medium enterprises, the capacity building that we are needing for our labor force, the labor management that really employed in the different sectors of the tourism industry, and the impacts to economy of tourism industry in a particular destination, and impacts to our society, and of course to our culture. So those are the things that actually we are interested to know, no, to discuss and share it, no, in the crowd, in the large audience, no. Okay, so with regards to our industry. So next is to knowing the customers or market. So the market size, the location, the preference of our market, especially nowadays that we are experiencing the pandemic and we have to face another phase of tourism industry. So we are now entering in the new normal, or the new phase of the tourism industry globally. Okay, so the old tourism industry will not be the same, no, with this coming years, no. Okay, so that's why it's really good. It's really interesting for us to know the customer nowadays. So what may be the preference of customer nowadays, since trust is now a commodity. Okay, so next is learning about the competition. So do you think, my dear colleagues, okay, the professors and the other researchers out there, okay, so do you believe that when the pandemic will be over, Okay, so do you think the competition in terms of tourism business now will flourish? Okay, so I think yes, because people are very much eager to travel again. So in the future, 2 3 years time, we can experience actually the influx of tourists visiting different destinations worldwide. So we are looking forward for it, and then it's really interesting for us now, people in the tourism industry and the tourism education, to engage in research with regards to competition, products and services analysis, the product development, innovations of our product, innovations in terms of the the different destinations, our tourism sites, our services in the airline industry and the transportation sector and the food and beverage industry and the accommodation industry. And then the marketing strategies. How can we market now our tourist destinations, since we are actually still gradually opening the borders? So most of our countries are not actually um, accepting international travelers. So how can we market it? So most of our countries now are actually engaging in the domestic tourism, or local tourism. So we have to um, change the context, or we have to modify our marketing strategies nowadays, since we are having such a limited market for our tourism industry. Okay, and research is really important in order for us to develop growth strategy. So say for example, tourism development and then sustainability of tourism. Okay, so this is really a big word for us, sustainability. So it's really actually very timely for us that we are having the sustainable development goals of the UN, the United Nations, no, in 2030. So it's really timely for us that we have such pandemic, and we need to um, make our destinations more sustainable as we are preparing for the next chapter of our tourism industry after pandemic. And then, okay, so what about in choosing your topic, my dear colleagues? So in choosing the topic, like in the other areas of research, it's good for us to know the topic that really interests us, that interests you, topic you are curious about. It should be manageable. Okay, availability of resources. Okay, so you must check if the data, you can actually collect data, or if there are other researches done related to your topic. And don't forget its significance to the society, to our environment, to you, or to your academic endeavor, and then to your university, to anybody. Okay, and then it should be challenging. It's good, as I told you, the beautiful view comes after the hardest climb. It's good for us to be challenged during our research journey. Okay, and not over-exhausted topic. So it's good for us to choose a topic that really not very exhausted. So that is actually manageable, that you can actually get information and you can actually get easily or connect with the participants or respondents, no, of your research. So for tourism research, here are some of the topics that actually you can engage with. So marketing or place imaginary, management or planning, transport and infrastructure, you can engage with it. Okay, social theory, that's like cultural agenda. So we have a lot of cultural aspect, the heritage, the built heritage, everything. Impacts, the city case studies, okay, typologies of tourists, okay, and then models, urban regeneration, visitor perception and satisfaction, or and of course sustainability. So we have a lot of topics that we can actually engage with in the tourism industry. Okay, so my dear students, my dear colleagues, what do you think is the best topic for you? So if you are thinking about, so since we are opening our semester, and as faculty members, as professors, we are all um, required, okay, to engage in research as a faculty member for our professional productivity. So what do you think is the best topic for you and why? You can actually write in the chat box, okay, if you want to participate. But sad to say, Ma'am Vandita, I can't actually see the mm, the chat box. So maybe Ma'am can share it with me if you have such you have uh, participated in this session. What do you think is the best topic for you?
Yes, ma'am. Participants, kindly put your responses in the chat box. So ma'am's question is, what do you think is the best topic for you and why? So you can put your responses in the chat box and we shall convey it to the resource person. Okay, ma'am, can we allow the participants to interact with you over the mic?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay. So I think we have our first participant,
Okay.
Mamta Pradhan ma'am. So I am unmuting you. Yes, ma'am, it is unmuted. So you can please ask your question. I'm sorry, you can please respond.
Yes, ma'am. What do you think is the best topic for you?
Mamta Pradhan ma'am, we have given access to your mic. You need to unmute yourself.
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Happy to see you here. And actually, regarding your question, ma'am, actually, I was very confused initially, but after attending yesterday's session, I'm very clear about what should be my topic in my further studies of PhD. So I got some of the topic from yesterday's session. So now I'm very clear what should I choose.
Yes, ma'am. So what do you think is the best topic for you for your dissertation, ma'am?
Actually, I was thinking for post-COVID impact and what are the strategies we can implement in front office. As I am taking front office classes mostly, I am trying to do in that field area, that area only.
That's good, ma'am. I wish you good luck, ma'am, in making or um, in writing your dissertation.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your participation.
Okay, we can move on to the
Yes, ma'am.
next participant. So
Yes,
we have
ma'am.
Mr. Karthik. So I'm just allowing the mic for him.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Mr. Karthik, you can please unmute yourself and respond.
Sure. Good afternoon, madam.
Good
Good afternoon.
afternoon, sir. Thank you for
Uh,
participating. Yes.
I'm actually very happy to attend your wonderful classes, ma'am. And my question is, what is our tourism research that it is one of the service oriented or it is a labor intensive, which is best, ma'am, for the research program? So that is my question. Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
So, sir, you want to know if what topic could be best for the labor-intensive industry, tourism industry?
Ma'am, F&B service, ma'am, food and beverage service.
Okay, for tourism. Okay. So you are actually inquiring about what particular topic that I can suggest to you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Okay. So with regards to the okay. So are you asking me, sir, or you are sharing your thoughts?
Yes, madam. Same one. Thank you very much.
Okay. So you are actually engaging with the labor intensive. So you can actually go with the capacity building, knowing their problems during the pandemic. You can actually the challenges, the issues about the labor, the labor relations during the pandemic, or okay, most particularly in the tourism and hospitality industry. So those are the things that you can engage. And if you are interested with regards to the labor, in labor intensive no industry as characteristic of tourism. So that's it, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am. So we can move on to the next participant. So
Yes,
we
ma'am.
have Miss Madhumita Mahatme. I am allowing the access. Madhumita ma'am, you can please unmute yourself and respond.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, I'd raise my hand because I'm not getting the chat facility here. One, and thank you so much, ma'am. Gina, it's a pleasure to hear from you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, my topic I've already decided. It is a case study method from the supplier side. I'm covering up in peripheral tourism.
Mm.
Yeah, and I'm looking at from the supplier side the challenges and coping strategies. Though it is not coming in, the question that I have is not in the gamut of what you've asked, but I am finding challenges in the theory building for this. So you may answer it even at the end.
Yes,
Gina,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yeah, you
Yes,
may.
ma'am. Thank you so much. That's a really
Yeah.
interesting topic, ma'am. And you
Yeah.
are actually getting into the theory building. It's really good,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yeah, I will look forward to an answer for this at the end of the session, please. Because your question is what is the topic? My topic is already decided.
Yeah.
I had raised my hand only because my chat box facility is off. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I wish you good luck no, in your research endeavor. Thank you.
Okay, we have our next participant, Ms. Dipali Indora. Dipali ma'am, I'm giving you the access. You can please respond by unmuting your mic.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Madam Gina, for the wonderful information that you're sharing. I wanted to do my research on heritage
Oh,
tourism and
yes.
the importance of using the as in like ingredients which are native to the particular areas and relating the heritage tourism and the ingredients.
Okay, ma'am. So you are actually you want to engage in heritage tourism, most particularly in the food tourism.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's very nice, ma'am. Are you from India?
Yes, ma'am. I'm from India,
Yes,
New
that's
Delhi.
yeah. Actually, your country is a very a country rich in culture and heritage. So it's good for you to showcase through research your rich culture, your rich heritage, most particularly the food tourism. So I'm very much happy for your chosen topic, ma'am, and
Thank
good
you,
luck.
ma'am. Thank you,
Yes,
ma'am. Thank you
all the
very much.
best. All the best for your research
Thank
endeavor.
you, ma'am.
Okay, so we have our next participant, Ms. Ashima Chatterjee. Ashima ma'am, you can unmute yourself.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and very good afternoon to Gina, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am.
It's so nice actually listening to your the knowledge that you're giving us. I've actually taken up a topic on which I have a problem that I have too much of theory and a lot of the literature, but then somewhere the impact of the literature I'm getting lost. The topic I've taken up for research is impact of food and cultural heritage of coastal Orissa on hospitality industry, the coastal belt
Okay.
of Orissa. So as
Okay.
we all know
Yes.
the place is very much popular for one thing, that is religiously it is many people know it by a land of Lord Jagannath and Puri. Other than that, people don't relate to that place, but there are a lot of things that the place can offer. So I've taken up a topic to highlight those things, so that people know more about the place, and to highlight the gaps why people are not being able to get to the core soul of the place.
Yes, ma'am. I'm very impressed of your shared topic. So it's really good to actually present or showcase your culture, most particularly the food you have there in your country. So heritage is really good topic in tourism, most particularly when we are engaging in qualitative research
I
methods.
have a question, ma'am. So
Yes, ma'am.
when we talk about like a topic which is related to heritage, we find a lot of material in review of literature. But then material when we are trying to analyze that, okay, there are a lot of things, but where is the gap? The gap analysis does not come out very good. How can you help me to get over that? If you could answer that question at the end of the session, that would be fine.
Okay, so as you are trying, ma'am, to find the gap,
Yeah.
no? Yeah, so
How do we
based
do a
on,
gap analysis better? So if you could help me with that.
yes, okay, so based on the synthesis of your related literature, you are actually you want to find the gap, ma'am,
Yes.
with
Yes.
regards to heritage tourism. So definitely in heritage tourism, we have a lot of resources available in the international journals. So for you, ma'am, you have to analyze it now based on since you are in the right theme, you are in the heritage tourism, you can actually find the gap in the setting. Okay, so you analyze the different literature you have searched, from international journals, and then look into the similarities with regards to if there are research already with regards to heritage tourism in that particular place in your chosen setting. So you can do it, ma'am.
Oh, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am Bandita, can we proceed now to the next?
Yes,
Right.
absolutely, ma'am. There were just a few responses on the chat box. So before we
Yes, ma'am.
proceed, I'll just read out the responses to you.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
someone had written that his chosen topic is impact of artificial intelligence on dealing with
Yes.
COVID-19 pandemic in the hospitality industry.
That's really
So
timely. Yes,
yes,
ma'am.
and then our next response from Mr. Anuj Bhattacharya, our participant, is study on the role of armed forces in rescue operations of the stranded tourists during inclement
Yes.
weather conditions.
That's
Uh,
good, ma'am. That's really
Yes,
good.
yes. And the last topic that we have is how to build adaptability in tourism industry post pandemic, or how to develop resilience in tourism post
Mm.
COVID-19.
Yes, that's really good, ma'am. That's
Yeah, that is all.
resiliency is really an interesting topic with regards to tourism since we are facing a crisis. So we have to be ready for the next crisis, maybe. So that's why it's good to have research about it. Okay, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. We can move
Thank you.
ahead now.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay, just to give you such a little window about research. Okay. So when we have this, okay, so we are actually, you are very much familiar with this already. So when we have to deal with research, research is actually resource-oriented, evidence-based, systematic, excellence. We are talking about excellence here, analytic, rational, concept construction, and holistic. So resource-oriented because we need primary, secondary, electronic, and human resources in order for us to come up with a publishable research. So evidence-based because based on available evidence. So as shared by one of our colleagues here, she actually collected a lot of related literature already with regards to heritage tourism. So it's based on available evidence. Results based on collected data. Yes, okay. In our results in discussion, we can actually discuss there the data collected, our analysis and interpretation, and then it should be a rigid investigation, and the reference be recognized, no, in our research study, and it requires expertise. Okay, systematic because it's, of course, we need to follow the process, the correct process with the format, with a timeline, and we have to do it consistently. Okay, so why consistent? Because when we have to draw our statement of the problem or our objectives, okay, I don't know the format of your research there in your university, but here in our university, we don't have such SOP or the statement of the problem, but we have objectives because it's a new format. It's an IMRAD format, introduction, methodology, results, and discussion. So we have only three parts, okay, in our research. Research papers. Okay, but in our traditional research format, we have 5 chapters. Okay, so we need to follow the process. We have the timeline and then consistency. As I am trying to say that in defining our objectives, okay, these objectives should be our pillar, no, in the entire, no, in constructing the entire research. So from the introduction to the methodology, the conceptual framework, the theoretical paradigm, to the results and discussion, and of course for the conclusion and recommendation, our reference is of course our objectives or our SOP or statement of the problem. So the consistency must be evident, no, from the introduction through to the conclusion and recommendation. So that's why we can actually say that research is really systematic, and it shows no excellence because we need to have that complete elements. That's why we need to submit our research output to our research supervisors or advisors. Here, we call your supervisor as advisor to the panel of experts, and later for the peer reviews before it should be published, because we need to check the complete elements that are actually present in our research paper. And then we employ varied collection, okay, data collection, and it should be run through tests. Okay, so our survey questionnaires, our interview guide must be pre-tested. It should be critic before we have to use it, no, in actual data collection. And it should be carefully treated with, in our presentation, it should have that clarity. It should be clear to the readers. As I told my students that we have to make our research as reader friendly. So you will have to be clear no, in our presentation from the top to bottom. I mean, from the introduction to the conclusions. Okay, and the data should be carefully treated in order to publish it, in order to um, bring it to the public. Okay, research is analytic in nature. So we need to analyze the results. We should not have such present it no, and our results and discussions. We need to analyze. No, we need to share our interpretation of that particular data, and then determine the methods, okay, of having how we collected the data. And it should be rational because it should be justified and significant. It should be um, done no with significant contribution. That's why in other research paper or in other research format, there should be that significance of the study. Okay, and this should be logical in nature. Next is research is actually a concept construction. So that's why I told one of the participants or our colleagues here that she's actually engaging with the theory building. That's really good, most particularly in dissertation writing. So when we have to engage in dissertation writing, we need to focus maybe on theory building, model making. It should be building a framework no, that could be used by our community or by our organization. Okay, and research can be used not to build or introduce a new product. Okay, and it can be done in the other context. Okay, holistic because it's interconnected. So we have a lot of things that we can consider in writing our research. Okay, it should be explicable reference to the whole. So research is really important, not only in tourism, but in the totality of our of the academe and the other industries around the world. Okay, so the research process, uh, most particularly those in the thesis writing or in the dissertation writing. So it's good for us, as I told you, that we need to plant seeds now in order for us to have a fruitful research output in the future. So our activity must be like this. So first is brainstorming. You have to consult your advisor, read more papers.
Gina ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
we are still on the previous slide actually.
Ay, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my problem in MS Team. Sorry, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah,
So is my presentation visible already, ma'am? Okay. So brainstorming, you can visit your advisor, read more. My dear research scholars, read more. Talk to experts. Talk to your professor. Talk to somebody who is expert in tourism research. Okay. And then you have to look into the topic that is really within your expertise and within your interests, and of course within your experiences as student or as a practitioner in the tourism industry. And it's good to visit your research, the research agenda of your university. It's good for us to engage in research based on the research agenda of our university. Introduction and methods, working title. Why working title? Because we can actually modify the title based on our results and discussion in the future. That's why while we are research is in progress, we can actually deal with working title and then do the background, your objectives. Actually, I am referring here not only the objectives of why you need to conduct this particular research, but I am referring here the statement of the problem. And then of course you justify the significance of this research, and then review of related literatures. Okay, so we have a lot of literature over there. So when we are talking about heritage tourism, we are talking about artificial intelligence, we're talking about labor in tourism and hospitality. We have a lot of literature now in our international journals. And then the theory and the concept that we are actually presenting in our introduction part, and then the design and the research process. So for data collection and results and discussion, it should be have such clear presentation, and then analyze it, then conclude, then recommend, and consider the ethical considerations. Okay, so in publication, submit to research to your research council. So if you are in the university, you can submit it with your advisor or your supervisor, or and submit it to the research council of your university and peer review, and of course you comply the standard. Okay, and of course, my dear colleagues, the our research output must be used. No, our purpose here is to gather information about our inquiry of such particular topic, but of course, it's not only for compliance of having a degree and a PhD, or in the doctorate or in the master's degree. But of course, our aim is to publish it in the national and international publication. And later, the ultimate goal of our research output must be to present it to the community for utilization. This should be utilized. Okay, the true meaning of research is for us to do something about our community. So we have to present this to the community. So that's why in your brainstorming, you have to look into your, for that particular goal, that somebody or a sector or an organization can be use this particular research in the future. Okay, so I hope I shared it to you clearly, but we have to proceed now to the meat of our presentation, the qualitative research. Okay, so we must focus here. Okay, so when to use qualitative research. Okay, so in tourism, we are actually using qualitative research to develop a new product, or in generating an idea, a new idea. Okay, so say for example, developing a new tourist site or a tourist destination, or a new tourist service or a tourist product. Studying product brand or service to strengthen the marketing strategy. So we need to study all about our brand, the branding of our destination or our campaign, okay, our services, no, in that particular destination, the hospitality, the travel services, in order for us to strengthen the marketing strategy. So the research output must be used, no, in order for us to strengthen the marketing strategy of our particular destination. And then understanding strengths and weaknesses of SMEs, or small medium enterprises, or we call it as tourism enterprises and tourist destinations. So why we need to do this? Why we need to understand, or to know, no, or to determine the strengths and weaknesses of our tourism enterprises, of our tourism destinations, for us to innovate. Okay, in order for us, because tourism is really dynamic. Okay, tourism really changes over time. That's why we need to look into our tourism enterprise and our tourism destinations, our tourist product from time to time. If they are still not accepted in the market, or if they are actually still attractive to the market. Okay, And then understanding consumer and travel behavior. Yes, my dear colleagues, it's good for us to study more about our consumers, our travelers, our customers. Okay, why? Because since tourism is really dynamic, okay, and it's really complex. Okay. So people, the travelers, no, have actually that characteristics that they have to change, no, their minds, no, when they have to visit destination already. So how can we make it that they have to travel again, no? They have to conduct or to have, no, revisit to our particular destination. I'm sorry for the barking dogs, Mama. Okay, and then studying the reactions of the audience to products and destination marketing campaigns and other communication. So it's good for us to study or to determine how people or how our market reacts, how our market reacts on the products or our product or destination marketing campaigns and other communications that we are dealing with regards um, to our destination or our sector. Exploring market demographics, the segments and customer groups. So who are now our groups na for our to who can actually visit our destinations. So most particularly this pandemic. Okay, during the pandemic, so as we are preparing for the rebooting of tourism, we can actually our market. We can actually go with the market demographics. Okay, so senior citizens are actually restricted to travel. Children are restricted to travel. So what do you think, no, are actually the segments now? Um, okay, and then gathering perception data of a brand, company, or team or product. Okay, and when we are going to look into the qualitative research used to collect non-numerical data. So it should be observational methods, face-to-face interviews, and case study. So we can actually collect data through observation, through face-to-face interviews, or maybe it could be case studies. It can obtain detailed answers to the questions. So in qualitative, it's really different from quanti. So we have here to obtain detailed answers to our questions. So participants of this research are asked open-ended questions and conversational communication rather than asking close-ended questions, though, like in the quantitative research method. So here we have to ask them open-ended questions. Why? Okay. How? Okay. So those are the questions that we are asking, no, in qualitative research. Researcher gives more importance to the concepts, the definitions, meanings, and detailed description of things, and give less stress to figures and numbers. Yes, my dear colleagues, the researchers gives more importance to the concepts, the meanings, okay, the experiences of our participants, but less now focus on figures and numbers. Explain how and why something happens and do not answer what and how much happens. Okay, so just in quali, it should be a wordy presentation because we need to justify on how and why. Okay, the thing happens and we cannot answer here what and how, the volume, the percentage, everything. Okay, so we just describe here the characteristics, the feelings, the perceptions. Okay, so we have a lot of Methods, we have 6 actually. Methods of qualitative research. So in conducting qualitative, you can choose no among the 6 methods that we can use no in gathering the or in making our research. So we can actually go with one-on-one interview, ethnographic research, focus group discussion. We can actually go with record keeping, the process of observation, and of course, case study. Okay, so qualitative research actually um, have to reveal behavior and perceptions. So in qualitative research, all we have to do is to present, no, reveal the behavior of our participants and then their perceptions about something or about the topic based on the feelings as a result of actual experience. Okay, so we have to ask them about their experiences, about their feelings, about their perceptions, and we can observe their behavior towards that particular topic or that particular concept that we are trying to know or to determine or to identify. Okay, the results are more descriptive. So that's why I am actually trying to say that in the presentation, it should be a wordy presentation. We have to describe more, no, the data we gathered. Inferences can be drawn quite easily from the data that is obtained. And it should be more...
Gina ma'am, just
Yes,
interrupting you.
hi, ma'am.
Ma'am, we are on slide number 14 actually. So
Sorry.
it is when to use qualitative research, right? Ma'am, if possible, if you can just, from, if you can just click on slideshow and start from there. Can you please click on slideshow, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
At the top.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I actually shared this, but it's actually, the problem is in my laptop, ma'am.
All right. So, ma'am, we are on slide number 15 now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Qualitative
Okay.
research.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
So qualitative research. This is actually the the slide previously, and then this is actually what I am talking about. Okay. To reveal behavior and perceptions, and based on the feelings, and more communicative and conversational in nature. So qualitative research is actually conversational in nature. Okay, so let's move to the different methods. So one-on-one interview. Okay, so maybe some of you here actually conducted already a one-on-one interview, focus group discussion. So when we say one-on-one interview, it should be an in-depth interview that actually get details in depth. Okay, it should be a face-to-face before, but now you can actually use the other platform in order for us to have one-on-one interview with our participant. Okay, one respondent at a time. So in conducting one-on-one interview, it should be one respondent at a time, and it should be conversational method. And take note that good and right questions and follow-up questions are necessary to collect meaningful data. This is a one-on-one interview actually, and focus group discussion really requires our expertise in art of questioning. So we need to be prepared on how to ask them, no, the right questions, good questions, and then later follow-up questions in order for us to collect meaningful and useful data for our research. Be able to gather precise data. Yes, because it's really first-hand, and it's coming from the participant itself. Okay. Online or face-to-face can be done. Able to read, but for face-to-face, my dear colleagues, it's good for us to conduct face-to-face interview, because the advantage is, of course, we can read the body language, okay, of our participant. Okay, in qualitative, we need to use participants rather than respondents. Okay, can be done in a half an hour to 2 hours. Okay, depends on the data you are needing and your research. So, well, if one-on-one interview is one participant at a time, but focus group discussion is different. It involves 6 to 10 participants, but for maximum of 12 participants. Involves 6 to 10 to 12 participants, and to answers, no, why, what, and how questions. Depends on the questions you are actually prepared for. Depends on your objectives and SOP, or the statement of the problem. To explain complex processes, okay, and very useful when it comes to market research and new products and testing new concept. And it's really good also in getting the perceptions, the experiences of our tourists, no, in a particular destination, or experiences of our guests in dining in a restaurant, or having tasted the food or delicacies or cuisine, authentic cuisine in our particular place. Or it's very good, also very useful if we can actually ask our participants on their experience in checking in that particular hotel, say for example Green Hotel, or if it is we have now the barriers free or the inclusive hotel. So we can actually um, engage with the focus group discussion, their experiences, no, um, in staying in that particular uh, hotel, resort, restaurant, or in a particular tourist site or destination or attraction or park. Okay. So another method is actually ethnographic research. Okay, this is the most in-depth observational method that studies people and their naturally occurring environment. Okay, all we have to do, the researcher here, is to visit that particular community, immerse with them, and then observe them in a week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 6 months. Okay, 1 week is not enough, actually. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, in order for you to have a meaningful data, because you need to observe your their day-to-day life, no, in their community. Adapt to the target audience's environments. Yes, because you need to immerse, no, with them, do the chores, no, engage in their traditions and their culture, no, in that particular community, and aims to understand the cultures, challenges, motivations, and settings that occur. Okay. In order for you to understand their culture as a researcher, you need to observe them and their actual dwellings and their actual residents, to experience the natural settings firsthand. Yeah. So for you to have a meaningful research data, you need to observe, record, no, okay, and then be keen in observing their behavior, their practices, no, every day. It's challenging, yeah, and it's time consuming method. Yeah, I really agree, because my dissertation is actually community-based tourism in one particular indigenous tribe here in my country. So I need to immerse there, no, for a month, just to observe their behavior, their tradition, their meaningful culture, no, for to have a meaningful data in my dissertation. Um, Another thing solely depends on the expertise of the researchers to be able to analyze. Yes, as a researcher, you can analyze those data you collected through observation, now based also on your expertise. Okay, that's why it's good for us to think about a particular topic that really interests us. It's within our passion and it's within our field of expertise. And then can last from few days to few years. Yes, depends on the scope of your study. And then another method is case study research. It involves over the past few years, no, about the different experiences na published or shared by people with regards to a particular incident or a particular scenario, okay, used for explaining an organization or an entity. Okay, it involves a deep dive and through the understanding of data. So deep dive because we need to understand no the case or the scenario or the issue, the challenge over there in that particular situation or in that particular community. No, and then we have to analyze it and present the data. Okay, another thing is record keeping. Okay, so record keeping makes use of already existing reliable documents. Okay, similar sources of information as the data source. You can use books, other reference materials like journals. Okay, like researches in your university library to collect relevant data that can be likely to be used in your present research. Aside from the related literature, you can actually use the existing different topics na in making your research. Say for example, no, collecting or compiling all the experiences in online learning or in a distance learning process while during the pandemic by the different schools no globally or maybe in one region or in one country. Okay, so the different researches can be done no can be collected and it should be analyzed, now present it, analyze, interpret it. Okay, it should be a research already. Okay, process of observation is another method. Uses subjective methodologies to gather systematic information or data. Okay, and then deals with five major sensory organs. So since we need to observe, no, okay, so our sensory organs must be functioning. Okay, our sight, smell, touch, taste, and our hearing. Okay, it doesn't involve measurements or numbers, but instead, it should deal with characteristics. Okay, so that's actually the six methods in qualitative research. Okay, so just to have such an idea about the difference between the quantitative and qualitative data. Okay, so we're quantitative, it answers what, where, how, when, and who. Okay, so based on numbers, while qualitative answers why, which is very important, based on opinions and experiences. For quantities, larger sample size, smaller sample size for quali. Okay, for quanti, it should be statistically analyzed. Okay, for quali, it should be for interview and based on your observation. And for quanti, it's objective, but for quali, it should be subjective. For quanti, it should be closed-ended questions. But because the questionnaire should be close-ended, and all you have to do is to let the respondents no answer the close-ended questions. For quali, we have such venue for them to share other thoughts rather than what we are asking them. So it should be open-ended questions. And for quanti, to validate hypothesis, but for quali to generate hypotheses or develop ideas. Okay, so qualitative data analysis. So how can we present this, or how can we make it as a research? Okay, so data collection, observation, interviews, document, and recording. So those are our processes and data collection. For data reduction, it should be selection, then focusing, simplifying, abstracting, transforming. Okay, you select, no? You focus on that particular segment or a subtopic, and then simplify it to the in detail. Okay, and then uh, abstracting and then transform it, no, into a more meaningful data. Okay, for the data display, it can be displayed into matrix, into graph, but all we have to do is just to describe the characteristics, not the statistics itself. Okay, we can actually display it through networks or charts. Okay, and for conclusion drawing, give meanings, confirming and verifying. Okay, so that's why in presentation of our data in Quali, we need to add or use our theory, no, presented in our background, in our conceptual framework. This should be used, no, in order for us to give meaning to the data we collected, to support the data we collected, no, in our results and discussion portion, or in our conclusion. And then in order for us to confirm, we can actually use our related literature, and for us to verify that your data is actually um, reliable, okay, based from the first hand or from your participants, it should be supported by your related literature. That somebody also talk something about this and give emphasis on that particular data that is actually similar to the data you collected. Okay. So for now, in your mind, ma'am, am I am I good with the time, Ma'am
Yes,
Bandita?
ma'am. It
Okay,
is. It
okay.
is absolutely fine. We have time.
Okay, okay. I am just asking you, ma'am, because maybe I can actually extend the call. Okay. Just tell me, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah, sure, ma'am.
Okay. So what can you consider in dealing with qualitative research methods now? Okay, so I think I can proceed now here, ma'am. Okay. So, points of considerations in writing qualitative research, my dear colleagues. Okay. So, what about selecting of participants? So, those are the things that we can consider. Developing question line, then, of course, ethical considerations, and then managing information collected. So, those are that based on my experience, actually, as a researcher, I can actually share this to you. What can be considered in using qualitative research, no? Most particularly in tourism. So for participants, you can actually select participants that can actually provide us with the knowledge about what we are looking into, what topic or what data we are looking into. Okay, so you can select, you can actually go with participants now that can provide us information. And then we can do sampling, okay? We can actually pre-select them through purposive or convenient sampling, okay? But of course, now in Quali, we can actually engage with minimal number of participants. And we can actually consider the power of authority in selecting the participants. You can uh, you can ask the manager or the chief or the president of an organization or the leader of the group, no? Okay, of who can actually answer the questions you are dealing with. Okay, and then how to you need to consider in selecting your participants, how to contact them, how to engage with them, how to get the data from them. How can you make such venue for interview or for the focus group discussion? And of course, we need to consider how many participants. Okay, if it is a focus group discussion, actually you can do it now in batches, 3 batches, so for 10, so 30, you have 30. Okay, but if you have, depends on your objectives and depends on the problem. Okay, the statement of the problem. And then another thing is, as I shared to you, that it's really critical in order for us to have a meaningful data. We need to be selective. We must be careful in developing our question line. Okay, be careful and then get to know the community first before you develop your question line. You have to determine, or you have to look into the profile of the community, okay, and then the structure, and before you develop your question line. And then for your questions, it should be simple question. Most particularly, if you are dealing with the communities, the local residents, no? Okay, in that particular community. So it should be, in many cases, since we are dealing with the community and the outskirts of the urbanization, definitely we need to translate it in their local language. Here in the Philippines, aside from English, we translate it with our Filipino language. And if the our setting is located in in the area with a dialect, okay, it's another language, we need to translate it in their local language or in their local dialect. Say for example, here I am actually located in Legazpi City. Our language, our dialect here is Bicolano. We can speak Bicolano, we can speak Filipino, and we can speak English. So if our setting is here, we have to translate it in Filipino, translate it in Bicolano, aside from English. So that's actually, so your question must be simple, and it should be short, and it should be, we must avoid highfalutin words. Okay, so it should be understandable by our participants. So that's why we need to translate it in their language. If you cannot actually, the challenge here for our researchers is to, if the researcher is actually coming from the other places that really not speaking such particular dialect. Okay, so you need to research on the dialect they are using. Okay, and look for an expert with regards to that particular dialect, and consult her or him, no, for having such translation of your questionnaire or your interview guide, and then make it clear to the participants in order for you to gather meaningful data. And another thing is, in developing your question, it should be pre-tested. Okay, so look for a group that can actually pre-test, no, actually critique, no, your questionnaire. And okay, what about ethical considerations? No, okay. So say for example, we have such here ethical consent, or yeah, it's ethical consent. So when we have to conduct interview, we need to ask them if their consent. no, to publish their answers or the data gathered coming from them. It should be a black and white. They have to sign it, my dear colleagues, no, that they are giving consent that the data must be collected is actually presented in the international fora or in international publication or in international publication. Okay. With regards to pictures or photos you will be presenting, it should be you have to ask the consent of that particular community, of that particular person. Okay. So say for example you are dealing with Aborigine or indigenous people, and you have to ask the consent, not only the participants itself, the community, but the the government agency that really regulates, no, indigenous people. Okay. So those are the things that we can actually consider, no, in dealing with qualitative research. Since we are dealing with case studies, we are dealing with one-on-one interview with a focus group discussion. Because say for example, case study of a particular hotel. So we need to have a consent, no, from that particular hotel that we are disclosing, no, the data we will be gathering. So it should be presented during our research presentation, no, in our university. Okay. What about in managing information collected? Okay. So in data collection, we need to take notes. Okay. Aside from observation, no, and face to face, we need to observe them, their behavior, okay, their gestures, their body language. You must have a keen observer. You must have a keen listener. Okay, and take down notes. And aside from the taking down notes, you have such a recorder. Okay, okay, for you to grasp now all the information shared by your participants. Or if your participants allow you, okay, if your participants allows you, you can actually record a video, no, during the interview, okay, and then you have to ask their consent, no, okay, because the data must be disclosed to such fora or for the particular publication. Okay. Next. So those are the points of considerations in qualitative research, my dear colleagues. Okay, so what about the guidelines for qualitative research papers? No? Okay, so fitness for purpose, the research should be seek, understand social processes, okay, and social structures or to eliminate subjective experiences or meanings. The settings, groups, or individuals being examined by of a type which cannot be pre-selected or possible outcomes not specified in advance. Okay, so you can actually pre-select the participants, okay, through a run or through a purposive sampling. Depends on who can actually answer your questions. Methodology, all papers must be included in dictated method sections which specify as appropriate the sample recruitment strategy, sample size, and analytical strategy. Okay. Okay, so what about in selection? As I told you, okay, as I shared to you, the selection of this should be theoretically justified. It should be made clear how respondents or participants were selected. In your methodology, you have to discuss there how you, it should be clearly stated there how you selected the participants. There should be a rationale for the sources of data, okay, the participants, the settings, and the documents. And then consideration should be given to whether the sources of data, people, maybe, and organizations or documents were unusual in some important way. Any limitations of data should be discussed. Yeah, this should be discussed in your methodology. Okay, so say for example, non-response or refusal to take part. So say for example, this is a common problem in dealing with our tourism enterprises. But we have to look into the challenges or issues about hotel business. Okay, out of 10 hotels, okay, maybe you can actually get 80% of them or so two hotels may be refused to take part on your research. So um, it should be discussed in your methodology. So it's good for us to be open. Okay, so the research process, the access process, how the data collected and then recorded. So it should be discussed in your methodology. Who collected the data? When the data were collected, you must include there uh, the period of the data collection. So say, for example, when we are talking about pandemic, so definitely it should be within the pandemic time. Okay. When the how the research was explained to respondents and participants. So it should be clearly stipulated in our methodology. Okay. So as I shared to you the research, the ethical considerations, so details of formal ethical approval. Okay. So it should be the research ethics in your or research ethics committee in your particular organization or institution should be stated in the main body of the paper. If authors were not required to obtain ethical approval, okay, so as in case in some countries, but in other countries they do this, unable to attain ethical approval, as sometimes occurs in resource poor setting, they should explain this in their methodology. Okay, so procedures for securing informed consent should be provided. Okay, it should be clearly stated in your methodology. Any ethical concerns that aroused during the research should be discussed also. Yes. Okay, so say for example, we some political issues or some other issues on culture, it should be discussed in the methodology at the end of your research. Okay, what about in presenting your findings? Okay, so consideration of context. Relevant information about the settings and respondents and participants should be supplied. Okay, so aside from the data, the first-hand data collected from your participants, it's good for you to um, add or support it with the relevant information about what the participants or your respondents supplied or shared to you based on your objectives or based on your statement of the problem. Okay. Okay. So quotations, field notes, and other data where appropriate should be identified in a way which enables the reader to judge the range of evidence based on. Okay, so you can actually use quotations or field notes, but it should be written properly, and it should remember that the results your research must be reader friendly. So distinctions between data and their interpretation should be clear. Okay, so the results and of course your interpretation at the bottom, and then the iteration between data and explanation of the data or the theory generation should be clear. Okay. Sufficient original evidence should be presented to satisfy the reader of the relationship between the evidence and the conclusions. No, okay. We are talking about here the validity. Okay. You can actually append, maybe the transcript, the recording, the transcript during your data collection. Okay, you can actually involve put it in the appendices. Okay, this should be adequate consideration, okay, of cases. Okay, so those are the considerations, my dear colleagues, no, in writing qualitative research. So what about in tourism? Okay, in tourism, we have to be careful in writing research introduction. So in research introduction, we have such research background, the rationale, the synthesis of related literature. This should be topical. Okay, research objectives, the theories, and the conceptual framework. Okay, so just to give you tips on this, present your topic and get the reader interested just in the background. So since we are in the tourism industry and the hospitality industry, okay, in the introduction itself, in the background, we have to convey, we have to entice, no, the readers to read our research by writing it correctly, by writing it more interesting to the eyes of the readers. Provide background or summarize existing researches, no, at the succeeding paragraph, and position your approach. Okay, whether it's inductive, deductive, okay, and then detail your specific research problem or research objectives, no, okay, at the succeeding paragraph, and give an overview of the paper structure. That's really good because um, our paper must be reader friendly, and we are actually, especially when we are going to present a topic about destination marketing, about promoting destination, branding. Okay, so what about the strategies in to foster more engaging writing qualitative research? Okay, consider what you are writing. Okay, you have to consider what you are writing. Read more about the topic you are writing. Identify to whom you are writing. Okay, who is your target audience? Who are your target readers of this particular research? And then in your introduction, you have to persuade, no, them to continue reading until the end, and then find your voice. Okay, take creative risks. Okay, in writing your qualitative research, find your voice. Okay, and then take creative research, my dear colleagues. Okay, so here I have a question, and it's at the same time it's an activity, Ma'am Vandita. Okay, so before we end our session, I would like to ask you, my dear colleagues, what are your takeaways for today's session? And please go to www.menti.com and use the code 22976118. Okay, and then key in your answers there. Okay.
Participants, kindly note the website name. It's www.menti.com. You may use this code as given on the screen, and you can write your takeaways for today's session for
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Gina, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And I will share it to you, ma'am.
Sure.
Okay, if it is possible, at the end of their statement, you can actually indicate your name there, because I will be sharing the link to Ma'am Vandita with regards to your takeaways for maybe for documentation.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'll give you at least what time, Ma'am, will be end?
Ma'am, we will be finishing up by 4:30. So
What
another
time?
15 minutes. Another
Okay,
15
okay.
minutes we have. So in between, We can also take some questions if
Sure,
there are
ma'am.
questions from the end of the participants.
Okay, dear colleagues, you can actually use 5 minutes of that 15 minutes for you to write your answer, your takeaways at thementi.com. Actually, I can share my screen. No, I can actually share my screen with regards to the. Yes. Okay, so we have here, ma'am. I have here 6 already. Ma'am Bandita, I'm very much happy
Yes.
that we have a lot of participative participants here. So I have here, it was nice to learn how to do qualitative research. I learned a lot about qualitative research. Superb. Okay, the correct ways and process of doing qualitative, very informative and knowledgeable, enhancing session by you, ma'am. It's from Ravi. Okay, insightful from Beth. Okay, learning, experiences, information, knowledge, understanding of qualitative research. Okay, we have here the good understanding on qualitative research method systematically, meaning of ethnography, real scenario of qualitative research, how to get started with qualitative research. Very informative session with clarity on concept on qualitative research methodology. Okay, it should be not bad. Learning experience, information, knowledge, qualitative research. The session was very amazing. Learned a lot about the qualitative methods and research and tourism. Okay, interesting session. I feel you have a lot of information but wasn't clearly communicated. Would have liked to most brief session with simpler breakdown. Okay, it was a good orientation about qualitative research, thorough understanding of quali, how to get started, help me know how to select the topic. Very helpful for me and my research. Got some clarity on theory building as well. Okay, from Madhumita, how to get started, very clear now. Okay, research process, what is qualitative of writing research, introduction, very well defined and systematic. Okay, introduction, qualitative research topics. Okay, learn that quali research. Okay, thank you so much for your participation. My dear colleagues, it's for good learning on qualitative research. It was amazing session from Elizabeth. Okay, from Chatterjee, I have got clarity on how to do a qualitative research and points to follow while writing the research. Thank you for the support. Okay, from Ashima. Okay, qualitative research and tourism and guidelines for conducting it. Very informative session. Okay. The presentations is very informative and enlightening from Hitendra, from IHM. Thank you so much. Okay, so you can actually share your thoughts here, your takeaways, and then I can actually share this to Ma'am Vandita for documentation of her amazing session, actually, amazing project, which is international webinar. Okay, and from Makiam, I learned a lot about qualitative research, very detailed information. Thank you so much. Okay. And is my presentation still visible to you?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, if you are, if you want, you can unshare.
Yes, I am actually finishing my slides.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
sure.
Okay. So before we actually end the session, I would like to remind you that do what you love and success will follow. My dear colleagues, passion is the fuel behind a successful career. Okay, so that could be my thoughts for you. And remember that behind every successful man, there's a lot of unsuccessful years. So don't forget this very inspiring thought from Bob Brown. Okay, so my dear colleagues, Ma'am Bandita from Amity University, thank you so much for inviting me here to share something about qualitative research in tourism. I'm very much grateful to you, and I'm very much happy meeting your students and the other researchers, professors out there. Thank you so much.
Participants, if you have any question, you may please post it in the chat box, or else you can raise your hand from the reactions so we can give you the microphone access and you may ask your question to our esteemed resource person. Dr. Gina ma'am, before we move ahead into the question and answer session, I would
Yes, ma'am.
like to express my gratitude today that you could be here with us to deliver your wonderful presentation on qualitative research in tourism. We thank you for a very interactive and insightful presentation wherein you have took us through the journey of understanding the basics of qualitative research as well as sharing with us very deep insights into each of the methods and point of considerations while undertaking qualitative research. Another significant thing, ma'am, I would like to mention here that you have very interestingly encouraged the newly enrolled research scholars and research aspirants to take the first baby steps towards starting with research as well as to publish in reputed international journals. Ma'am, because research, especially publishing, appears very daunting and intimidating to a lot of us present here. But with your very informative presentation, you have really helped us all to chart out a concrete plan to navigate the perceived fears and difficulties successfully. Your session has been very, very engaging, totally infused with contagious positivity. And so thank you, ma'am. And now may I request Professor Amrita Chaudhuri, ma'am, to kindly take over for the question and answer session with the participants. Participants, you shall be given microphone access, so requesting you to kindly introduce yourself while asking the question to our esteemed resource person. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Vandita. I'm very much happy to be with you today.
Thank you, Gina ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
It was our pleasure to have you amongst us. Ma'am, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am. It's very clear,
It was a
ma'am.
wonderful session, ma'am. And while you were talking about the basic takeaways, I mean, Vandita ma'am has talked about it, putting our research proposals matter in journals. You know, it is one of the things that seems to be very demanding. So you have given us a clear picture, a very clear picture of how to go about it. And the basic takeaway, what I liked the most was that research paper ultimate goal should be percolating to the community. You know, we usually do it to enhance a degree, to get a promotion, but then many of us actually do not, in that course of action, we do not actually think about our own community. So you rightly pointed it out. It should be encouraging, it should percolate down to the community. So ma'am, we have a question. We would like to have some questions from our participants. We have a question from Ms. Priyanka Gupta. Ma'am, could you please unmute yourself?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. Myself Priyanka Gupta, and I'm working as assistant professor in Government Women Engineering College, Ajmer. Ma'am, I would like to ask you that if we wish to establish a relationship between two variables, which method would be most apt apart from in advanced qualitative research methods like content analysis and or sentiment analysis or something like uh, these days we have other method softwares also, Atlas TI and Vivo, everything, to interpret the interview transcripts. So I have taken some interviews from tourism entrepreneurs, and I wish to establish a relationship in what role do they play in enhancing the destination competitiveness.
Okay, so what are the two variables you are talking about, ma'am?
Entrepreneurial marketing and destination competitiveness.
Okay, the entrepreneurial marketing of a particular destination and the competitiveness of that particular destination.
Yes.
Is that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you have gathered already the data, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. I have taken the personal interviews of tourism entrepreneurs.
Okay, so you can actually analyze it, no, ma'am, through how, um, with regards to actually the competitiveness and then destination, and then what about the entrepreneurship, ma'am? Entrepreneur?
Tourism. How do tourism entrepreneurs use entrepreneurial marketing to enhance destination competitiveness?
Okay, so that's your topic, ma'am. So how
Yes.
these entrepreneurs using their marketing and competitiveness of that particular destination. Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Yes. Okay. So you can actually use how this the entrepreneurial marketing, no, being used by entrepreneurs in your particular area, and then look into the how really this destination is very competitive, no, with or this destination is actually enticing or attractive to particular tourist group. Okay, so you can how will you how can you get the topic? Is you're going to qualitative, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. I have taken interviews. Yes, ma'am. So I have the transcripts now. How to interpret those transcripts to establish a relationship?
Okay, so you can get, ma'am, the the marketing strategies of entrepreneurs, okay, and then relate it to the the competitiveness of that particular. So how will you able to get the data with regards to competitiveness?
Ma'am, that is available from tourist only. That we cannot have from entrepreneurs, na? Destination competitiveness.
That should be, it should be coming from the travelers, of course.
Yes.
Okay, so you have conducted already data gathering from the tourists.
Yes, that is a quantitative data, and on that I have already applied a structural equation modeling. I just want to know that how to establish a relationship qualitatively
Okay.
with respect to two variables.
Yeah, that's why, ma'am, I'm asking, because it's actually you gathered statistics about the competitiveness, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this should be established on in the what particular entrepreneurial business or tourism business in that particular area, ma'am? Because
It is
we need
hotelier.
to hotels.
Yes.
Okay,
Role of hoteliers.
hoteliers. So they are all hoteliers.
Yes.
Okay. So actually, with regards to the actually, ma'am, I can actually advise you if I can see actually the data or the transcript, because it's really difficult for us to have this analysis, no, with regards to the two variables with source from the different group of participants. Okay, and then I need to look into your objectives, and I need to look into the way you or the questions and the way you have to gather the data, and of course the objectives you are stated in your research. So I think I can assist you there if I can actually look into the transcript and look into the objectives or the statement of the problem you have in your research.
Amrita ma'am, I think we can move on to the next question.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. We have Mr. Yadav, I guess. Mr. Yadav, you can please unmute yourself. Are you there?
Hello.
Yes,
Ma'am.
Mr. Yadav.
Good evening, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are. Please.
Good evening, ma'am. And hello. Good evening, ma'am.
Gina,
Yes,
ma'am, we
ma'am.
have another question from Mr.
So,
Yadav. Ma'am,
Yes,
is
ma'am.
it audible?
yes, ma'am.
Yes,
I have
he
one
is.
question, ma'am. For the
Yes, yes,
qualitative,
sir.
for the qualitative research, what would be the minimum sample size for collecting the data or doing any research paper?
Okay, so the minimum number
Of
of
interview?
participants.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, actually, sir, depends on the data you are going to collect. So if it is, say for example, you are going to ask the different hotels in your area, you can actually select, no, based on their category. Say for example, all four-star or five-star hotels. Okay, if there are a lot of hotels, various hotels in your area, so say for example you have 50 hotels, you can actually select one group or one category of hotel. Okay, so you can actually, so say for example it's 15. Okay, you can actually get the um, 100%, no? Okay, complete enumeration of your research. But for focus group discussion, we can actually limit it to 12, no? 6 to 12 participants. Okay, depends on, for the tourist, okay, so say for
Ma'am,
example, you are dealing.
actually, ma'am, I have the doubt because when we send the paper in the international journal, so I have sent one paper collecting the 12 interview. So they have mentioned that the data is not sufficient. So
Okay,
yes.
I have experience, sir, in some journals that they are actually
So how we decide that which sample would be sufficient for the paper publication? Like if because in the qualitative we are not able to find that how many data we should collect from the respondent.
Okay, so it depends on the structure of your setting, sir, or if your area or the scope of your study. Okay, if it is a broad, no, scope, you can actually engage with another. As I told you a while ago, in my experience, uh, I have three tribes, no, 10 each. So it should be 30. You can extend actually to 30, no, depends on the area, depends on the data you are gathering. So because the tribes are three actually, so I need to meet, no, 10 per each tribe. So I have 30 tribes, 30 participants all in all. So you can actually extend it, no? Okay, so because some of the journals are actually not accepting researches with limited number of participants. But for qualitative, no, especially when we are doing um, interview, okay, it's good to have limited such number of participants. So most particularly, if you are going to portray one of the cases, so say for example, the success experience of a particular resort, this should only provide you a limited number of participants who can actually share with you the thoughts or their knowledge about the case. Okay.
What is
Yes.
your area of interest, ma'am? The research area. If you want to.
Research area and tourism, sir.
I think there is some connectivity issues. We can move on to the next question. Amrita ma'am, do we have anything?
Yes, ma'am. I see one question in the chat box from Mr. Shukla. He says that while doing a case study research, if we are not getting permission from organization in that situation, what should we do?
Okay. This is all about research grant, ma'am.
This is regarding the case study research. You know.
What about, ma'am, the research study? I can actually I cannot.
I think the participant is asking regarding, securing permission. He wants to conduct some research on a particular firm or organization. So he's not able to get the required permission for that. So in that case, what can be done? This is the question.
Yes, permission. So we are talking about the permission, the consent, ma'am, from the participants. This is actually a required document because we are disclosing the data coming from a particular person or a particular organization. So it's good. It's actually an we need to consider the research ethics. Okay, so we cannot disclose anything that we gathered from somebody or from an organization without their consent. So all we have to do is to ask them, no, to you know ask some considerations for you to get some consent from them, or in our cases, ma'am, actually we have to change, no, our setting in case it's not available, no, the consent is not available. So as I say, for example, you have 10 hotels. Okay. If we have 10 hotels, five-star hotels. Okay. So if the two of them, no, cannot give us consent, we can actually concentrate on the 8. Okay. So because research ethics is really important. No, they can actually question us. Okay, when they have to disclose, no, the data they are actually shared to us. Especially we will be publishing this in our university, next in the national journal, and most particular the international journal. Okay, so for indigenous, say for example, for Aborigine or for the communities, okay, it's good for us to, it's really required for us to ask for consent of our participants, because their perceptions, their feelings, their experiences, their knowledge are actually shared to the public. So it's actually research ethics. So we're talking about here ethics.
Okay, Amrita ma'am, do we have any other questions?
No, ma'am, I don't see any in the chat box.
Okay.
Do we have any more questions?
I think we can wrap up now.
Yes.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
all right. So now I would like to request our head of the institution, Professor Siddharthananda sir, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Indeed, it was an enriching session. You have talked about a detail about the quality of research required, the concepts. In fact, there were so many participants who have learned a lot, and they were so excited that they kept on asking so many questions. And out of that, in fact, in reality, it's very difficult to explain unless and until you don't see their research projects or the paper publications. which many research scholars are not aware. It's extremely difficult to tell. So I would request the participants to, if you want to share, you can also share the details with the coordinators, with Professor Vandita ma'am as well. If you have any more questions, please share the journal, the publication details or research details. It can be taken forward. But I really appreciate, ma'am, and even I personally learned a lot from your the address that you have given, and you humbly addressed everyone. Thank you so much on behalf of Amity School of Tourism again. We hope to have one more session with you in the future as well. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much to Ma'am Bandita and to Sir for your invitation and for the opportunity to share with you and to share to other research scholars there in your country qualitative research in the tourism perspective. But I'm sorry for those participants who are actually asking something about the presentation of the results. Okay, so definitely when we review review research articles not to be published, we need to read it no, carefully, if, and we need to focus on reading the results for us to give comments and to give suggestions. So I really appreciate your kind understanding now with regards to the situation, because I cannot actually give them advice no if I can see no the transcript maybe, and of course the objectives, the SOP or the statement of the problem, the background of the research. So I'm very much open through Mom Bandita if you can actually if you want to me to help you, you can actually reach me through Ma'am Bandita. You can email me, ma'am, of such particular research topic.
Yes,
They
ma'am,
want
sure.
to, yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a pleasure having
And
you.
stay safe over there.
Yeah, thank you so much. You too, ma'am. Stay safe.
Thank you
And
for.
we thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
And we also thank all the participants for attending today's session. Please fill up all the assessments and keep learning. Stay healthy. Thank you so much.
Participants, please fill up the assessment sheets. They have been the links have been posted already on the chat box as well as on the WhatsApp group. So please do that. Okay. All right, ma'am. We are ending the session now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, participants.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am Amrita.
Thank you, ma'am.